I'll start this video with a little story about yours truly. I wasn't very close to my dad growing up. We had very different personalities, no common interests, and didn't see eye to eye on most things. The majority of memories I have from my time with him is of us arguing or just ignoring each other on a daily basis. Come 1996 and Street Fighter II Victory was released here in my country. Now, I'm a huge Street Fighter fan. I've played all the games, collected comics and toys of the World Warriors. I turned the planet upside down until I got my grubby little hands into an uncensored version of the legendary 1994 animated movie, and I even went to the theater to see Jean-Claude Van Damme flash kick Raul Julia in his face! Look, Van Damme's Street Fighter is a comedic classic and I don't want to hear anything about it, okay? Also, it gave us the best live-action Chun-Li of all time. Ming-Na is perfection. Fight me about it. Anyways, when Street Fighter II Victory debuted where I live, I was beside myself. It aired on Sunday mornings, which wasn't a problem for me. I had a penchant for waking up early to watch cartoons or anime. Egods! Magic Knight Rare also aired early in here. 6 a.m. to be precise. I was already trained in the ways of not sleeping in name of animation. So there I was, watching Street Fighter II Victory, happy as a pig in mud, when good old Dad entered the living room. Now, Dad was not fond of me watching animation. He believed it was a display of immaturity, that I needed to grow up and focus on more adult things. He wasn't completely wrong, but that's besides the point. Nevertheless, he saw that I woke up early on a Sunday to watch a cartoon, as he put it, and I was expecting to get another lecture on how I needed to become a man. Instead, he stood in front of the TV to see what was so important that made me give up on sleep time on a weekend. It was the episode where Ken is shooting a movie with Fei Long, and the duo got too excited with their fake match and turned into a real fight, destroying the entire set in the process. I was kinda puzzled to see my father smile as he saw that. He was one of those guys who didn't smile much. Then he sat on the couch and watched the rest of the episode with me. When it ended, he asked, "That game you play, it's called Street Fighter, right? Is it based on this cartoon?" We had a short conversation about it and didn't speak of it anymore during that week. Next Sunday arrived, I woke up early once more to watch my anime, and there was old Dad, with snacks and coffee for us. We watched all of Ryu and Ken's shenanigans around the world, meeting the other characters, challenging them, learning from them, until they eventually crossed paths with M. Bison, Vega, whatever you want to call him, and ended up embroiled with Shadaloo. Whenever a new character showed up, Dad would question me about them. He had his favorites like Sagat and Fei Long, and those he cared less for like Dhalsim, who he just called that bald wizard. He also taught me to stay away from women like Cammy. "This is the kind of girl that cooks your pets if you don't call her when she wants you to," he used to say. Dad and I got a little bit closer during the time we enjoyed Street Fighter II Victory together. He would watch me playing Street Fighter once in a while, and there was one time he even dared to sit on the floor and play a game or two with me. Sure, it wasn't like we see it in movies, a magical moment that made us become best friends for life, but it closed the gap between us enough so that our relationship wasn't so distant anymore. My father died 1 year after the end of the show, in 1998, from a massive heart attack. Now, why did I tell you this story? Well, it's because we all have memories like this. The culture around us serves as the wallpaper of our lives. When you think of a movie, cartoon, or video game you enjoyed years back, it's not the experience of that product that causes you joy. It's the memories it brings back anytime you think of it. Remember a specific movie and it might rekindle a memory of the first time you and your spouse went on a date, when you held hands in the theater darkness, how merely listening to the soundtrack of said movie makes your heart beat as fast as when you shared your first kiss. When you think of a video game of your childhood, you're not only remembering the time you could waste away in front of a TV screen with no regards for health or personal hygiene, but also the friends and siblings that shared in that experience with you. People that might no longer be in your life, but will always stay in your memories. A TV show might be the final connection you had with one of your parents, the bonding you shared before you had to say goodbye, just like Street Fighter II Victory was for me and my dad. It's never simply a movie, a video game, a cartoon. We are talking about experiences that unites us, distracts us from the harshness of real life, help us cope with sadness, loneliness, and loss. Culture is important because connection with one another and ourselves is important. And for the past decade, all the cultural treasures we had were slowly predated upon and destroyed. I've been wanting to talk about this for a while, but I needed a good hook for this video. Something that I could use that would resonate with everyone, not just the nerds that I normally try to reach with my dumb essays. Then it happened. The Last of Us TV show. I'm working on a bigger video talking about both the game and the show and what went wrong with them. But now I'll talk a little about that moment. So, spoilers. If you don't want to hear them, skip to the time frame shown on screen. Everyone ready? 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's go. Joel was brutally killed on the TV show, just like it happened on a video game. And the show's fans are reacting to it as negatively as gamers did when The Last of Us Part 2 was launched. Two completely different audiences, players and normies, having the same strong revulsion at the same thing for the same reasons. Now, why did this happen? Why did Neil Druckmann, the co-creator of The Last of Us and major responsible for the franchise, decided to kill such a beloved character in such a fashion? If you ask me, it's because he's a hack. A terrible writer who just lucked upon a career, God knows there are a lot of those, and decided to subvert expectations with the franchise he created to show the world how fearless an author he can be, then use that as a stepping stone into bigger and better things, which unfortunately seemed to work so far. Sadly, the hack writer virus spread to almost every facet of entertainment. Suddenly, nerd culture was the thing everyone wanted to curate upon. Not because of passion, but because it was mainstream and one could use it, just like Druckmann, as a catapult into success. Let's start with the obvious. Star Wars. The franchise was completely demolished by Kathleen Kennedy and her cronies, hell-bent on turning every classic character apart from Leia into a joke, erasing everything George Lucas created and putting half-baked copycats in their places. Kennedy erased her former boss's legacy to raise her own, with questionable results.
The power of one, the power of two, the power of many.
We also have comic books, where every hero suddenly became a vessel for artists to trauma dump on their readers. And if it wasn't an established hero that's been around for decades suddenly becoming gay, it was a blatant self-insert by the author, showing everyone how special and amazing they were. They massacred Star Trek, and also Doctor Who. Finally, video games. Oh, video games. Perhaps one of the most recurrent victims of this crusade to turn all culture and entertainment unpalatable to most people. One of the most notable casualties was the Saints Row franchise, which was turned from a larger-than-life satire on open-world games into something made by ChatGPT when asked to write a game based solely on millennial Twitter takes. Heck, we could say the same about Borderlands 3 and a ton of other games from the past few years. In fact, I could rant for days, but I'll just say this. Concord. Also Dustborn.
You are racist.
And finally, Dragon Age Veilguard.
So, I'm non-binary.
Suddenly, culture was no longer meant to entertain and enrich, but to lecture. I don't want to get political. I never cared about politics, but suddenly it became impossible to escape that. Our entertainment was used as a pawn in a social-political game, one where people used wrong think to cancel their opponents. If you disliked corporate product that certain groups of people approved of, you would go through a modern tar and feathering session. People would contact your job, your sponsors, they would do everything to make you lose your livelihood. Crazies would destroy as much of your life as they could. For what? For bad movies, for bad video games, for bad comic books. Entertainment became a battlefield for psychopaths to talk about politics.
But Gruff, entertainment was always political. Steven Universe was for children, and it was super political. Where is your non-existent god now?
Wrong! Steven Universe was made for unemployed 25-year-old activists from Portland. Children actually watched Teen Titans Go and grew up with an unexplainable thing for broken goth girls. Just like the previous generation did. Look, entertainment can be political and tackle social issues. When it's well made, it doesn't lecture its audience. It tells a message we can reflect upon. You want an example of that? Hideo Kojima, the absolute master of political video games. His magnum opus, the Metal Gear Solid series, is neck-deep in world politics, but no matter what, it has only one message to tell its audience. War is bad. That is something we can all agree upon. Unless you are an absolute sociopath. And why do I care, you might ask? After all, the things I loved growing up are still there. Nobody's taking them from me. I care because many times when a new product based on an established franchise grows in popularity, it might eclipse everything that came before or will come after. Tell me, how many of you have read Mary Poppins? Or any of the original tales in which Disney movies are based on? Beauty and the Beast, Cinderella, Aladdin, The Little Mermaid. The Disney movies became such classics that they are the default perception our society has of such stories. So much so that even Disney themselves cannot change them into more modern iterations without receiving backlash. And even if the new version doesn't completely erase the old one, it might be so bad that it will contaminate it. Let's take Star Wars as an example again. I loved the franchise growing up. I had the movie box set on VHS and watched the original trilogy to the point I memorized all of its dialogue. And now I'm repulsed by anything Star Wars because I know the terrible end that awaits for my childhood heroes.
Ray Skywalker.
Brother, this guy stinks!
But why are creators nowadays so bad? Well, I think there are two types of creators. Those who have no interest in what they are creating beyond what it can grant them in terms of professional growth and legacy, and those who want to create something but are just terribly bad at it. The first type can be exemplified by the aforementioned Neil Druckmann and Kathleen Kennedy, people who, in my opinion, only cared for their own personal brand and how they could grow it. The second type are the modern artists, hired by companies to work on comics, TV shows, and video games. Studios and publishers started hiring hacks from social media, like Tumblr, who never worked on anything besides slash fics that would make E.L. James blush. So, all those incompetent fools became heads of the creative industry and started hiring their talentless friends, and together they pretty much destroyed pop culture as we know it, and demanded ever better salaries to continue doing so. There is a saying, writers write what they know, which means that authors will derive from personal experience when creating stories and characters. C.S. Lewis was a devout Christian, so his Narnia series of books dealt with themes poignant to him, such as sin and redemption. Robert E. Howard was a voracious reader with a talent for prose, but also a tough guy who took bodybuilding and boxing in his lifetime. These experiences were later translated into his major creation, Conan the Barbarian, a strong, honorable, and much smarter than he looks Cimmerian warrior. Finally, we have H.P. Lovecraft. Yeah, what is it? Yeah. I'm recording a video. Can you do this some other time? Come on. Will you let me talk about Lovecraft? I know you don't like him. He was kind of a terrible person, but still. Come on. Finally, we have H.P. Lovecraft, a complicated, to say the least, individual whose body of work is a mirror of his inner turmoil. All these guys, by the time they were in their 20s, had seen more crap than an entire staff of Disney Plus writers combined. I believe modern writers lack life experience. Like I said in my Gargura video, you should watch it, it's great. Most people spend their lives today in front of cell phones and computer monitors. People go on chat rooms to interact with friends, they meet dates on Tinder, and social media becomes their entire existence, where posting pictures of their breakfast is an event. If writers write what they know, what are people living like this going to write about? Well, moral grandstanding on political and social issues, things they are bombarded with 24/7 on social media. People nowadays are brainwashed into believing my side good, your side bad when confronted with any aspect of existence. One cannot simply enjoy an anime or video game anymore without deconstructing it and putting every little piece of it under a social-political microscope. When people like this decide to work in entertainment is when we get cultural vandalism. People who become the caretakers of popular IPs but couldn't give two poops about them, so they completely ravage it, turning it into a fanfic on the best of cases and a soapbox for their beliefs on the worst. People need to understand that entertainment is culture. It's what bonds societies and generations. A while back, I saw a girl on X commenting on how shocked she was on finding that Kyle Lucy's father on the Fallout TV show also portrayed Paul Atreides in David Lynch's Dune. Now, the girl probably knew Atreides from the new version and was flabbergasted to find out the connection that both Fallout and Dune had. I haven't seen the new Dune, but I watched the old one, and as flawed as it is, it has a very special place in my heart. This connection is something that an old man like me have in common with the new generation. I can use it to better understand modern kids. That is why culture needs to be preserved. It's a powerful tool for unity, and pop culture is a way for that connection to happen. The same way Dad and I were brought together by anime, lots of people go through the same every day with video games, TV shows, books, tabletop games, and so much more. Their passions are the reason they might meet and become acquainted, leading sometimes to lifelong relationships. Now, if you are still not convinced and think I am just an old man yelling at clouds, that no one should be so aggravated because of cartoons, movies, and video games, I want to end this video with an image. I don't know the full context of this picture, but I think we can guess correctly by just looking at it. The kid is in the hospital. He looks frail. Obviously, he is not well and probably going through a grueling treatment that must be physically and mentally exhausting. Then, there it is. He's watching an episode of Dragon Ball Z on the television. More specifically, the one where Goku is receiving energy from people all over the earth to defeat the villainous Majin Buu. In the show, Goku asked people to raise their arms to send him power. And that is exactly what the kid is doing. I bet that at that moment, all of his fears, all of his pain, were but a distant thought. For the 25 minutes or so the show was on, he just wanted to lose himself in Goku's adventures, to see him battle the bad guy and emerge triumphant. When that kid recovers, I bet he will have a very fond memory of Goku being the light in his darkest moment. He will carry the Saiyan warrior with him for the rest of his life and share his passion with his kids, creating a lasting connection with them. That is what culture is. Sometimes it's the only thing we have and the only reason we can smile. When people decide to destroy it for no other reason than bitterness or activism, it is immoral, and we all must make a stand against it. So, what do you guys think? Do you agree, or do you believe I'm overreacting? Leave a comment. I always read them. And if you watched this video to completion, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't enjoy it, that's okay too. Thank you for giving me a chance. It means a lot. So that's it for today. I'll see you guys on the next one. Until then, take care of yourselves and everyone you love. Cheers!